rivers, endangered by robbers, endangered by my own people, endangered by Gentiles, endangered in the city, danger in the wilderness, danger at sea, danger from false brothers, in toil and hardship, had many sleepless nights. I've been hungry and I've been thirsty. I've oftentimes been without food in the cold and exposed. If there's anybody here who can teach us anything theological about trouble, it is this tantalizing tent maker from the town called Tarsus. Paul said, I've been hard pressed. I've been hard pressed. In this particular text, to be hard pressed is the idea of being hunted. It's the idea of being sought out or even to be sought after. Paul himself knows what it is to be a wanted man. Yeah, he knows what it is to be a wanted man. Somebody had, well, at one point in time, somebody had a price tag on Paul's head. Acts chapter 23 lets us know that there were 40 gentlemen who said, I won't eat or sleep until we put Paul to death. Paul knows firsthand what it means to be hunted. But here's what I discovered. There are so many African American men in this country who knows what it feels like to be hunted. Who knows what it feels like, or let me say it this way, knows what it feels like to have a target on your back. That seems to be a target on the back of black men, and maybe that's why those officers in Wisconsin could so easily squeeze the trigger on a man in front of his children. Maybe that's why Philando Castile, Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Ahmaud Arbery, and even Breonna Taylor, and so many other names that I did not mention, all lost their lives unnecessarily because they were treated more like targets that need to be terminated. But here is what I discovered about targets. Here's the good news about targets. Watch this. People don't target what they don't see as a threat. People never target what they don't view to be a threat. The reason why the enemy is hard pressed, the reason why the enemy is pressing you, the reason why you feel hard pressed is because he views you as a threat. There is something unique. There is something unique about you that the enemy recognizes as opposition to his establishment. In other words, the reason why he's pressing you is because of the power of your potential. Somebody shout, I got potential. Somebody say one more time, I got potential. And so the enemy knows that if you ever realize the power that's in your potential, that your potential will be too powerful for him to handle. You just missed everything I just said. I said, the enemy knows that if you ever realize the power that's in your potential, you're going to be potentially too powerful for him to handle. That, my friend, is why you are a target. That's why he is attempting to put a proverbial knee upon your neck, because he understands that if and when you realize the power of your potential, or let me say it this way, that watch this, he understands that your potential, he knows if you get this one day, that your potential is a gateway to possibility. Did you hear what I just said? I said your potential. When you realize your potential, you understand that your potential is your gateway. It gives you access to possibility. You see, when power meets potential, maybe y'all heard it, when super meets natural, when power meets potential, anything becomes possible. I said when power meets potential, anything, somebody shout anything. Do you know what I mean by anything? I can do all things through Christ. When his power meets my potential, I can do all things through Christ. When his power when power meets potential, watch it. Peter had power. Peter had potential. But when Peter met power, he became a water walker. When power meets potential, you have the possibility to do all. Somebody shout, I got potential. I got potential. Behold, I give you power to tread. Behold, I give you power to build. Behold, I give you power to decree a thing. When power meets potential, the enemy recognizes the potential in you, and that's why he's trying so hard to suffocate your potential. Because when he sees you, watch this, when he sees you, he sees a potential catalyst to change. When he sees you, he sees a potential water walker. When he sees you, he sees the leadership capacity in you. When he sees you, he sees that you have the power to change the dynamic of your family. When he sees you, he sees that you have the power to break chains and break strongholds and break generational curses and stuff. He sees your potential. can always ignore the hater. Because watch it, the hater can recognize potential. Look at it, she thinks she's something. I really didn't think I was anything. You did, but thank you for letting me know that I'm somebody. You got to understand that the enemy has an eye for potential. Because he recognizes something in you that he doesn't have himself. So he recognizes your potential. That's why he's trying so hard to suffocate you. That's why he's trying so hard to make sure that you don't breathe. Because if he can suppress your potential, he understands that your potential, watch this, you are potentially too dangerous for his establishment. Come on. Your potential can disrupt his order. Your potential can disrupt his plan. And so if he can block you from recognizing your potential, if he can stop you from realizing your potential, that's why the enemy is trying to keep you hard pressed. Paul says, I've been hard pressed. Then he says, not only have I been hard pressed, but he said, I've also been perplexed. Not only have we been hard pressed, but Paul said, I've been perplexed. Somebody say perplexed. He said, Paul was an especially brilliant man. He was very sharp, but there was times that Paul was admittedly perplexed. That there were things that Paul didn't always understand. There were things that he couldn't have anticipated. There were things that Paul had a great amount of difficulty grappling. That's why he says, look at in Romans chapter 7, Paul says, I don't understand my own actions. For I do not do what I want, but I do the very thing that I hate. So no longer is it I who do it, but it's the sin that dwells in me. For I know that nothing good dwells in me that is in my flesh. For I have the desire to do right, but not the ability to carry it out. For I do not do what I want, but the evil I do is what I keep on doing. But I delight in the law of God in my inner being. But I see in my members another law that's waging against the war of my mind, the law of my mind, and making me captive to the law of sin that dwells in me. Then Paul concludes, he said, but thanks be to God. Yeah, he said, I messed up, but I got issues, but thanks be. I can't get it right, but thanks be to God. I keep on tripping over and over, but thanks be to God. Look at somebody say, I got a bail out. Paul said, I'm perplexed, but thanks be to God. He says, because I know what I should not be doing. And then some of the things that I know to do, that's the things that I struggle to do continuously. Paul says, I'm perplexed. Listen, not only do we have potential, but we're perplexed. But if you're honest with yourself, not only are you perplexed, y'all ain't gonna like me here, but you're the problem.
Come on, make it plain.
Not only am I perplexed, but let me speak to me. I'm the problem. So sometimes it's not nobody else, it's me. I'm the problem. I know this sermon series is vote victory over the enemy, but what happens when the victory that you need is the victory over the enemy? But what happens when the victory that you need is victory over the enemy? There are something of the enemy. There are something that I can't blame on nobody else because I'm the problem. There are times that my toughest opposition is not my opponent, it's me. I'm the problem. Some of the things that I don't have in life is not because somebody stopped it, it's because I didn't do what I should have been doing. So some of the stuff that I've lost in life is not because the devil stole it, it's because I laid it down. I'm the problem. Some of the issues that I'm dealing with are not because somebody else created it for me, it's because I did the wrong thing knowing God did not call me to that. I'm the problem.
Come on, tell it.
I'm not always the victim. I victimize myself.
My God.
God he had laid the plan for me to achieve it, but I'm the one who deviated. That's right. It wasn't nobody who pulled me. It wasn't that girl. It wasn't that game. It wasn't that money. It was me.
Come on.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, Some of the things that I should do are the things that I struggle to do. And some of the things that I know to do are the things that come easy to do. And sometimes, watch this, I make the easy decision to do what my flesh says instead of my spirit.
Come on. That's it.
It ain't the enemy, it's the inner me. If I can get me out of the way, if I can get me in check, if I can get me in line, if I can fix me, if I can watch it, if I can give myself to God, totally and fully, it's not the enemy, it's the enemy. It's the enemy. It's the thought that I keep thinking about. It's when I see something and I do not turn my head. It ain't the devil. The devil didn't make you do it. You did.
You want to do it.
He said, behold, I give you power. We just shouted on power. Behold, I give you power.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. We don't always utilize the power.
Yeah, come on.
We don't always choose to walk right. We don't choose to fight against. When he gives us a way of escape, we don't use it. It ain't the devil, it's somebody say it's me.
It's me.
It ain't the enemy, it's the inner me. It's my thought life that needs to be rectified. It's my prayer life that needs to be rectified. It's the private me that needs to be dealt with, because the private me is gonna mess up the public me if I don't get the private me in check. It ain't the enemy. I'm perplexed because it's me.
Come on.
The songwriter says, it's me, oh Lord, standing there, anybody in this place for me, who knows that you need some prayer warriors, who gonna stand beside you and hold you accountable. You need some folks that don't speak life over you. Paul says, I've been hard pressed and perplexed. And so here's your shout. If I'm the problem, can somebody give God praise? Because if I'm the problem, I mean he's the solution.
Hallelujah.
That's what I love about God, because listen, he don't have to listen. There is no problem that's too big for God. There is no problem that's too hard for God. Whatever problem I have, he is the solution for it. If my money funny, he is the solution. If my body needs healing, he is the solution. Whatever I need going on in my mind, he is the solution. Somebody say he is my solution.
He's my solution.
Jesus is the answer. He is the solution.
Yes, he is. Almighty grace.
Yes.
Paul says, not only are we hard pressed and perplexed, but then he adds that we are persecuted. Hard pressed, perplexed, and persecuted. As the Apostle Paul continues to list his many trials, he contends that while he's been on his journeys, he knows what it means to face persecution. The word persecution is defined as the systemic mistreatment of an individual or group by another individual or group. Let me say it again. The word persecution is defined as the systemic mistreatment of an individual or group by another individual or group. The most common forms of persecution are religious persecution, racist persecution, and political persecution. Persecution is something like having to fight a pandemic and problematic policing. Persecution in the form of astronomical unemployment rate, persecution like improper health care provisions or educational limitations for the unaffluent of society, persecution like inhumane immigration practices or uncivil political discourse, systemic racism, and a nation as divided as has ever been before, which, by the way, has a profound impact on the minorities of society. Somebody shout persecution.
Persecution. Woo.
Not only does Paul know what it means to be persecuted, but if anybody knows like me, the marginalized understand what it means to be persecuted. We understand what it means to have to be twice as good to get the same job. We understand what it means to have to fight for an education that other folk get freedom. We understand what it means to get decent health care when other folk get health care based on the color of their skin. We understand what it means to have to deal with persecution.
Yes, sir.
However, you do know that all things work together for the good of those who love God and are called according not to persecution but to his purpose. In other words, I love how God never wastes a storm. The Bible tells us that we should always rejoice in persecution or in our suffering. Why? Because we know that suffering produces perseverance. James chapter 1 verse 12 says, blessed is the man who perseveres under trial, because when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life that God has promised him. I'm sorry, I never gave you my subject. The text says we are hard pressed on every side, yet not crushed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Struck down, but not destroyed. Do me a favor. Do me a favor. Lift up both your hands and figure it that and still. You just did what I said. Put up both your hands and figure it that and still. You do know what and still means. And still is a term or phrase that's utilized in professional boxing. It means that after the champ had gone through every round, after the champ had had to face every persecution, after the champ had to take a couple licks, the announcer raised his hand and said, and still. No matter how many times he got hit and got back up, the referee said, and still. Is there anybody here who knows that after you go do what you go do, you can still lift up your hand and say, and still. I'm still here. I'm still fighting. I'm still fighting. I'm still fighting. I might have been knocked down, but I'm still here. I might have been broken, but I'm still here. I might have gone through things, but I'm still there. Somebody and still. And still. And I forget that you are still victorious. You are still, listen, you're still not crushed. You are still not in despair. You are still not forsaken. You are still not destroyed. You are still here. You still have victory over. Somebody say, and still. And still. After that doctor's appointment, and still. After being laid out, I'm still eating and still there. Anybody who knows that no matter how many rounds you've gone with the enemy, he may have knocked you down, but he did not knock you out. You are still victorious. You are still blessed. You are still blessed. You are still favored. You are still here.
Mighty God. Wonderful Savior.
He's thrown his best punches at you, but and some of them punches rock you so. When it rock you so, but you are still here. 2020 has given you the best nick it can give you, but you are still here. Pandemic does not have the right to change your position. You are still here. Corona can't change your calling. You are still here.
Oh my God. Still. That's good.
There is no day that can take away your deliverance. You are still here and still. The undisputed heavyweight champion of my life is still Jesus. No matter what the devil is trying to do, no matter what sickness is trying to do, I'm still going to praise him. I'm still going to bless him. I'm still going to worship him. Is there anybody who can help me worship him? Can you help me worship the Lord and still God? You missed what I just said. I said he's still God. He still sits high and still looks low. He still makes ways. He's still open the door. He's still delivering.
Thank you, God.
Yes, sir.
So your problems are not only trying to distract you from seeing what God wants you to see. If he can take your eye, if he can cause your eyes to leave God, then he got you. But God says, don't look away, I'm still here.
Yes, God. Thank you, Lord, for
Peter was successful in his walk until he took his eyes off God. He was walking strong. He was doing the impossible. He was doing stuff that ain't nobody ever done before in human history.
Wow.
And as soon as he took his eyes off God, God says, don't take your eyes off me, I'm still here. Don't let unemployment cause you to see